Kyle Dubas came in this offseason for the Pittsburgh Penguins and completely redid most of the team. So far, a few of the moves have looked like home runs, such as the Erik Karlsson trade and the Reilly trade. Both those acquisitions have paid off perfectly for the Penguins. But outside of those two, the start for the Penguins has been very disappointing to a lot of fans because they had high hopes coming into the season now that we had a new person in charge. I don't think a lot of this falls on Dubas. I think a lot of the issues that the Penguins are having right now, it's just the Penguins trying to figure stuff out and finally getting rid of aging people that shouldn't be in the lineup. After the loss to Detroit earlier in the season, we started seeing players like POJ and Chad Ruedel scratched. Since POJ was scratched, Ryan Shea has took his spot and has looked perfect. He was a little shaky in his first game, but since then he's looked very solid defensively and he's been a good acquisition. And then, most recently, we've only seen one game of it so far at the time of this recording, but he's set to be in the lineup again tonight, as Vinny Hinostroza has finally taken Jeff Carter's spot, a move that should have been done a year ago, but hey, right now is better than never doing it at all. Another one of the major issues that the Penguins have been having so far is that their goaltending has been very consistent. Sure, you may look at Tristan Jarry's 2 shutouts already this season and think that, man, he's having a really great start to the season, but in reality, he's not. Outside of those games where he already has 2 shutouts, he's been very mediocre at best and has not been helping the Penguins' case when they've been trying to win. Most recently, he looked pretty solid in the win over San Jose, but I mean, that was hard not to. Alex Nedeljkovic, who was brought in the offseason, looked very solid in the 2 starts that he got, but he is injured and is week to week and can most likely return on November 19th against the Vegas Golden Knights. We've only seen Magnus Hellberg as a Pittsburgh Penguin once, and that was in relief of Tristan Jarry when he got pulled the other week. One change that I would like to see happen is if goaltending struggles continue into later in the season, I want to see Joel Blomqvist called up from the AHL. This is his first full season in North America after he came over from the SHL this year, and he's looked very solid for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. So far, he has a .934 save percentage and has looked very good. He's getting a lot of the starts right now, especially with Magnus Hellberg called up to the big-time Penguins. I don't know if he's ready for NHL action, but I don't think he's far off either. He's adjusted to North America really well, and that's something that's just going to keep improving the more time he spends over here. Personally, I finally feel like the Penguins are in a pretty decent spot. They made changes to their third line, and now that line got going. We've only seen one game with the changes to the fourth line, and they already scored 2 points last game. They may not sound like a lot, but for one game, that's really good, and on top of that, those are the only points that the fourth line has at all this season. 10 games into the season, the Penguins are really going to have to step it up from this point on, because if not, they're going to completely miss the playoffs, and this year's going to be a failure. I don't know if Hinostroza is the long-term answer on the fourth line, but he looks a hell of a lot better than Jeff Carter did the past couple years. I want to see Matt Nieto and Noel Acciari get going as well. Noel Acciari was someone that came over from the Maple Leafs this offseason, and he was a fan favorite over there, and so far he hasn't really shown most of that off. Sure, he's laid a couple big hits, but none of the consistent hits that pounds teams down over games, and it's something that really helps wear them down as the game goes on. That's what he's known for, and that's what I think's been missing a lot from his game this season. I want to see more from him. On top of that, I want to see Matt Nieto get going a little bit too. He did have a goal in the last game, which should help, but I really want to cheer for the guy. It's just so far he hasn't really shown much off. Since putting Jansen Harkins down to Wilkes-Barre, the third line's look pretty solid with Radim Zohorna on the right side of Lars Eller and Drew O'Connor. The line's been driving play. Sure, they don't have a ton of goals to show for it, but they have more goals than they did when Jansen Harkins was up. I could see Zohorna potentially hitting 10 goals this year, and that'll be a big leap from where they would have been if they kept him in the minors. I do think this team's missing bottom 6 depth, and I think a trade needs to happen here soon. Maybe just a shakeup will help with the guys in gear, and will really get the team going. POJ is the most likely trade candidate. I don't know how much they're going to get for him, but hey, if they can pick up a young bottom 6 winger that provides a little bit of depth, it'll be a good signing for the Penguins. On top of that, Mark Pysyk signed a PTO with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins to try and get back to where he was before his injury, and hopefully he looks solid down there, and then the big-time Penguins are able to sign him, and he can be very solid on the third defensive pairing. Chad Ruedel will probably be traded as well. Like I said with POJ, I don't know how much trade value that they have, but hey, getting something back for someone that's not going to play in the lineup consistently is pretty solid. If struggles in the bottom 6 continue as well, a trade's probably going to need to happen. I don't really know who you can trade from the bottom 6 unless you trade one of the new guys, but I highly doubt that considering Dubas just brought them in. Inside the organization, Sam Poulin would probably be the most likely call-up, but the issue with that is he's currently week to week with a lower body injury, so I don't know about that one right now. The Penguins are losing a little bit of depth as Andreas Johnson's going back to Sweden to play because he doesn't want to play for the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, and I don't really blame him. This season's been a whirlwind of emotions so far, and we're only through 10 games. Hopefully tonight against Anaheim for Game 11, the Penguins come out looking very solid and snap their 6-game winning streak. The Penguins have the talent, they just need to figure it out. Maybe a coaching change is needed. I don't really know, but something needs to change, or hopefully they can just pull it all together, because the pieces are there. They just need to figure this out themselves. Let me know what you think about all the issues that the Penguins have been having in the comments below, and I'll respond to you and we can talk about it. If you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and drop a like on the video and make sure you subscribe. I release a bunch of content every week and shorts every single day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.